Reviewing your year is kind of like tying your year in a bow and saying goodbye. It has all of my favorite ingredients. It has reflection, planning, and ideally a little bit of action. In this video, I'll be going through a really simple yearly review process to inspire you to do the same. We'll be looking back at your year, creating almost a yearly recap, reflecting on what worked and what didn't work, and deciding what we want to do going forward. Something new that I started doing last year that I want to carry on is creating almost a summary of your year. Kind of like a Spotify Wrapped, but for your life. I'm doing this in Notion, and I will have a really basic template linked below for you to grab, but you can definitely do this in whatever tool you use because it's so simple and so easy. My 2021 wrap starts with a list of words to describe my year. So I've got words like self-healing, discovery, resolve, me, as in like embracing who I am. But I've also got words like burnout and sadness. Bad feelings and good feelings from your year can absolutely coexist. Something you can include on your 2021 wrapped is global moments that mattered and life moments that mattered. This is also a really good way to figure out what the things were that you really enjoyed doing during your year so that you can recreate more of those in the year to come. Keep in mind, there are a lot more global moments that mattered. I actually Googled like biggest news stories of 2021. Those lists aren't out yet. These are the ones that really like stuck out of my mind. Lots of pop culture stuff. This is more just to help me to remember, okay, this is the year when that happened. These are all of my life moments that mattered. Keep in mind, these are only the good moments. I haven't put any bad moments because we need boundaries, but also just significant moments. The affirmation bath at Noosa, I talked about that in my video on how to plan your New Year's. That was so nice. I went to Wet n Wild this year, which is the theme park. Honestly, one of my favorite moments of the year. A really nice picnic with my friend Sam. I went to this weird seance at the art center. It was like a display. It wasn't really it, but the night was it. My sister got diagnosed with ADHD, so it's not even my moment, but it's still like significant in the year. I want to go through this list and probably try and put like little specifics and maybe even link to pictures, because obviously in 5 years time, some of these are a little bit vague and it might be hard to remember them. Then you can look at the things that mattered. These are all of my things that mattered, and I'm sure that there were more. I'm going to do a quick little pick of a few of my faves. You can start with the stuff that mattered, so the physical, tangible stuff in your life that really mattered in 2021. Pelly bags are practical but also cute alternative to a picnic basket. So with that, I'm talking about these. They have been so helpful and I've used them so much this year. They're cute and they look okay in the background of photos, but they're also super practical. Look at the books that mattered. Invisible Solutions by Steven Shapiro. Such a good book, especially if you, like me, have gone on a real questions deep dive this year, as you guys know I have. Think about the ideas that mattered. Ideas that mattered, not me first, but me too. I heard about this concept from a TikTok creator, and I can't remember the creator's name, but she talked about how recovering people pleasers are often told to put their needs first before other people's, which is valid, and in a lot of cases that's what you need to do. But she talks about the idea of, instead of saying me first, say me too. So how can I get my needs met as well as you getting your needs met? And that's something that I've been trying to implement probably in the much later part of this year. If you listen to podcasts, note down the podcasts that mattered. I have listened to so much of the Murder with My Husband podcast. While I do recommend it, it is a good time. It's interesting to listen to. I also think that it's just made me a little too anxious, so I'm gonna stop listening to it, as good as it was. Note down the movies and the shows that mattered. Life After Death, which is a documentary show that's on Netflix. Skip the episodes that are about psychics. I have a completely unfounded fear of the people that I love dying. Terrifies me, I hate it, it can make me anxious at times. It's not too bad, but if I think about it too much, it's too much. Watching the show made me so much more comfortable just with the idea of death in general. If you're a foodie, you can write down the food that mattered this year. Pistachios and grapes, ugh, such a good food combo. Really write down any of the stuff that mattered in 2021. If you have specific hobbies, create a category for them. If you have kids, you might want to write down the moments that mattered related to your kids. Now you're moving towards reflection, and the first question that you want to ask yourself is, what went well this year? What were my wins? And before you say that you don't have any wins, I know that that's not true. I have this conversation with my sister every single week when we review our wins for the week. Amy or me will always be like, I can't really think of any wins, but by the end of our little session, we're like, oh, we have more wins than we can count. Once you start looking for wins, you will find more wins. Remember that a win does not need to be anything related to your career or to your productivity. A win can be that you were nicer this year. A win can be that you made a friend this year. If anything, if you're someone who ties your values strongly to your productivity, then focus on the wins that are not related to productivity. One of my favorite non-productivity wins this year is becoming a Bumble BFF gal. So in the middle of the year, I can remember distinctly sitting on my couch in my office with my friend. And I'd said to this particular friend before, it's really hard to make friends. Like, I don't really know how to meet people. I've talked about this before, but I want to normalize it. It can be hard to make friends as you get older and you get busier. Some of the best places to make friends are places like university. I didn't go to university. Work, I worked with mostly older people, but I did make a few, like 2 really good work friends that I'm still in touch with. But other than that, I found it pretty hard to make friends in my 20s. And I am a great friend to have. Like, I bring a lot of value to the table, and I sincerely believe that. Great person to have in your life. Will support you through anything. Will cheer you on no matter what you are doing. Will celebrate your wins probably more than you celebrate them. Anyways, I'm not here to sell myself to you as a friend. I know we would be friends because I just know I would vibe with most of my subscribers. But this year, I sat with my friend on my couch and I was like, by the end of the year, I am going to have one new friend. And you know how I'm gonna do it? Bumble BFF. I've heard good things. I know some people are weird about that kind of thing, but I was just like, I'm doing it. I never got the whole dating experience because me and Luke got together after Tinder was a thing. We met each other on a drunk night out like all of the best couples do. But I feel like Bumble BFF, from what I've told people about it, they're like, oh, it sounds exactly like dating. So I met with a few girls on there and everyone I met with was so nice. It's a much nicer experience than I imagined dating would be because literally everyone you're meeting with is lovely and girls are just generally better. I feel like I'm definitely a girl's girl. I love women. I don't vibe as easy with men, but I really connected with one girl on Bumble BFF. Her name's Tess and she's absolutely lovely. I feel like saying that this is like a win makes it smaller than it is because the new friendship is like a big deal. I am really proud of myself for getting on Bumble BFF because little socially anxious me struggles with those kind of things. On my first date, I was so nervous. After a while, I was like, no, I can do this. And I did it. And I really value my friendships and I really value my new friendship and I just feel very happy about it. Another non-productivity related win is sitting with my feelings, which I feel like I've talked about a lot in the last few videos of mine just because it has become a big part of my life. I feel like sitting with my feelings is something I definitely was not versed in late this year. And like I've already said multiple times, I feel like it's been really healing for me. I feel like it's been really good for me. Not a traditional win, but a really impactful win on my life. This year I had a few really lovely weekends away as well as just getaways in general. So I think last year I can remember saying, oh, I don't even think I've gone on a holiday this year. This year, not the case. We did do short little holidays, love a little 4-week getaway here and there, but I think I'm really more of a little break here, little break there kind of gal. And my little getaways have been some of my favorite memories that I've created this whole year. And I'm going to call that a win. This year I got back into creating and I got back into crafting. So if you've followed me for a really long time, you know that I used to do DIYs all the time. I used to always be creating stuff and I don't really know why I stopped. At some point, I just stopped doing creative things for fun. There's some creative stuff that I don't enjoy doing, like sewing, despise. But I love a paper craft, love making a card, love putting together a Halloween costume. This year, actually, I made a Halloween costume and I did not even have anywhere to go. I was talking to my sister and she was just like, you really need to start doing something that you enjoy because I was just feeling in the dumps. And she was like, Halloween's coming up, why don't you make a Halloween costume? And I was like, look, I have nowhere to go. I'm not really interested in going out. Like, I'm just not at that stage in my life. And she was like, screw it, do it anyways. And I was like, fine, I will. I ended up going out just with me and Luke. Like, we had a cocktail. It was more of a cute on-brand night for me. Just dressed up in my little fairy costume, which is something that I probably would not have done in previous years because I would have been like, no, I need to have somewhere to go. This year I was like, no, we're being creative for the sake of being creative, and I just dived into it. And recently I did a Christmas crafternoon with a friend and I made these cute snowman cards. And it sounds really trivial, but getting back into little things like crafting, I think it is really good for me. It's really good for my little heart. It makes me happy. Creating is actually one of my values. And I do it a lot, obviously, making videos, but I think that it's important to do stuff that I'm bad at. I don't need to be being creative and monetizing it. I don't need to be particularly talented at the stuff that I am creating. I just need to create for fun a little bit more. And that's something I want to bring into 2022 as well. Another thing that went really well this year is my digital products, namely my Notion pack. That is probably my best performing product that I have created. And that's something that I want to lean into more in the new year. If you somehow don't know, I did launch an app this year. It has a whole bunch of meditations on it, really good journaling guides that are actually excellent for end of year. I actually just went through 2 of the journaling audios on the app, perfect for this time of the year. I utilize this stuff as well. I make sure to make stuff that I actually would enjoy and use. I actually adore creating the content for intention because it's so actionable. I think I talk a lot about doing stuff on my YouTube channel, whereas on intention, everything there, it's like the actual journaling exercises that I tell you to do. It's the actual thought exercises that I tell you to do in meditation form. It's the challenges. It's pretty much taking my channel and the stuff that I talk about and turning them into little actionable steps. And that's what I really adore about intention. And I love the process of creating intention content. Something about that just lights me up. And launching an app, obviously a huge win. And I launched my Skillshare class, which is also an intention. I'll have the link to that down below. So much work went into that Skillshare class, actually. It took me a really long time to put that together. That was a really big win. I think it's so packed with value, also a really good class to be doing around this time of year. You also want to ask yourself, what didn't go well this year? What were the things that sucked? What were the things that I wish I could have done better with? An alternative way to look at this is asking the question, what would I do differently if I were to do this year over? I know that a lot of people will be like, oh, I wouldn't do anything differently. That's not how we're thinking. Imagine that someone has come to you and they've said, hey, you need to do a redo of this year, but you need to do it different. You need to make some changes and do it in a way that feels better for you. What changes would you make? What didn't go well? My biggest what didn't go so well this year was a lack of clarity around what the priorities were. I've referenced this recently in a few videos, but in Essentialism by Greg McKeown, he talks about how don't think about what you have to give up, think about what you have to go big on. And at the end of the day, if you want to go big on anything, you have to give some things up. I feel like this year, I didn't look at all of my priorities and go, what do I want to go big on? As a result, I felt scattered, I felt spread thin, and not even necessarily in a, oh my God, like I'm wildly busy and so much to do, more just in a nothing was getting all of my attention. And so I didn't feel like anything was exceeding my expectations or doing really, really well, which is fine. It's okay when things aren't like thriving and blowing up. We don't need to be on constant growth mode, but I feel like if I had just asked myself the question, what do I want to go big on? I think some things could have done a lot better. Something that didn't go so well this year was trying to manage my emotions all on my own. So I know that I've literally just said that feeling my feelings is one of my big wins this year, and I definitely do think that it was, but at the same time, this year I feel like some to be clear, very little T trauma has sort of come up in my life, and it was stuff that I didn't think that I'd ever have to deal with again, or full stop. It's just stuff that I don't think that I can work through on my own. I mean, I can try as hard as I want, but I do think that I just need guidance from an external professional who knows what they're doing, which is why in my start stop list I have therapy, because gorgeous girls get therapy. This year, something that didn't go well is I feel like I've spent more than other years. If you followed my channel for a little while, I definitely used to impulse spend a lot. I had a lot of packages coming to my door. I'm not back there. However, this year I definitely spent more on just frivolous, less intentional purchases than I have in other years. And if you watch my decluttering challenge, you probably picked up on that. I'm kicking off 2022 with a no spend challenge, and I feel like that's gonna be a really good reset for my spending. Now you want to create 3 lists, a start, a stop, and a continue list. I do this activity pretty regularly, and every time I do it, I always find that it creates little tiny changes, and it creates focus on what I want and what I don't want as well. I always say never expect yourself to actually start and stop all the things on this list, but it's a really good way to put your mind in the right direction. What you write down might be inspired by the prompting questions we've just gone through, but they also could be totally unrelated. So, things that I want to start in the new year. Firstly, really embracing that idea of what do I want to go big on, not what do I want to give up. That's actually going to be my guiding kind of like theme, guiding question for the year. Next year, we are doing some intense house saving. Luke and I are saving for a home. Finally, he is graduated. I have a physiotherapist partner. He's employed. We love to see it. And that means that we are in a position to start saving for a house. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. I'm probably going to be making a few money related videos next year because that's something we both want to dive deep on. Let me know if you do have any recommendations when it comes to money related books, any money related courses, because we're very open to learning more about financial freedom. That's a really big thing for both of us, and just creating a lot of financial security for ourselves. Like I said, starting therapy has to happen. Next year, I am going to really dive deep on Smart Notes by Sonke Aaron. I made a book guide for this in intention, and I really enjoyed this book, and I really want to implement this system and make it a regular part of my life. Basically, Smart Notes are just notes that you take on content that you consume, but it's more based on how you react to the ideas that you read and your ideas from the things that you read. I explain it much better in the book guide. The reason that this is important to me is because I'm a content creator, and the more notes that I create, the more original ideas that I have, the better my content is, and the more easily I can create content, which is why I want to really ritualize taking Smart Notes in my life next year. Another thing that I want to start next year is really embracing a stop-go lifestyle. So I've realized that I am not a go gal. I am a go stop kind of gal. I really like working deeply and intensely, but then I really enjoy stopping and letting my mind rest. And I really want to integrate that into how I work, into my days and into my weeks. Something that I want to stop immediately almost right now even, is having my phone at my bedside table. I don't know how I fell back into this habit. I hate that I've fallen back into it. I know how much it affects my sleep, how much it affects my routine. I just haven't had a home for my phone to live while I'm asleep. And when I don't have a designated space for it, it just ends up sitting on my bedside table. It's bad for me. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't like having it there. So that's something we're stopping in the new year. Another thing I want to stop in the new year is waiting for other people to join me when it comes to my plans. I feel like I am a person that tends to enjoy doing things with other people more than I do with myself. I know some people are vice versa, and that's sort of changed over time. And I feel like I'm just in the mood to go on more dates with myself, to get to know myself a little bit better, to do the things that I find fun with myself. When I wake up on a Saturday and I want to go thrifting and I want to go to a bookshop and I want to go get Starbucks, I want to just do that stuff, but I don't want to feel like I need to have plans with other people to do that fun stuff. I want to be able to do it confidently on my own and enjoy my own company. I think that's what I want to work on in the next year. So this is kind of a start really, but stop waiting on other people to make plans. Just make plans with myself. Do a lot of self dates. Another thing that I want to stop in the new year is drinking fizzy drinks. So pop, soda, wherever you're from, different words. Just because I love giving up liquids. I gave up alcohol for 1 year quite a while ago. If you follow me for a long time, you might have seen that journey. I still don't really drink too much alcohol, but I do drink it on occasion. I'll have like 1, maybe 2 drunk nights a year. It's just not really a problem for me anymore like it used to be when I was younger. I think as you grow older, people just don't care that much if you don't really drink, and people that do just aren't really worth your time. I've also given up coffee. I did that after I came back from Europe. I had a really bad experience with coffee when I was in Germany, and I was like, nope, coffee makes me anxious. It's awful. I'm stopping. Now I will have a coffee every once in a while, only usually when I go out. If I'm getting Starbucks or something, I'll have a coffee if it's a chill day. Honestly, most of the time, it just reminds me of why I don't drink coffee though, because I don't have it very often. When I do have it, it hits me really hard. I know some people don't feel anything from coffee, but I just get a little anxious. So sometimes it's good to drink coffee because it reminds me of why I don't drink it. Anyway, back to my point is this year I want to give up fizzy drink. We don't keep soft drink in the house. Like I never buy Coke or anything like that for our household. We're always just drinking water or oat milk pretty much, but I will get a Coke with a takeaway, or if we go out for dinner. Firstly, it's caffeinated, so it's really not good for me. Secondly, it's just so filled with sugar, and I don't mean that from a like, oh, sugar's unhealthy perspective, more just from a sugar just makes me feel bad perspective, and drinking so much of it is just not good for me. So in 2022, what we are going to try is giving up fizzy drink. We'll see how I go with this. This actually feels like it's going to be difficult. I'm just going to replace it with water. This is something that I've tried to do in the year of 2021, and it actually went really well until I was like, you know what I'm going to do? If it's a special occasion, then I'm going to just have a Coke, like when I'm out and about. That turned into me getting a Coke with my takeaway, etc, etc. Gretchen Rubin talks about the idea of either being a moderator or an abstainer. So I want to completely abstain and just cut out all fizzy drink in the new year. We'll see how we go. If you liked this video, you're going to like my Reset Your Life playlist, which is going to be linked on the screen. In it, there are a bunch of follow along activities that you can do to reset your life in preparation for the new year, or after the new year has already begun and you're just like, look, I need some new year vibes. Intelligent, critical thinking kind of subscribers that there are.